This video is going to be a quick overview on One Character Model Assistant and how they work together in the Web Player demo. Let's start out with One Character. One Character has four main components. There is the skeleton, or the custom rig. It contains certain bones that allow for the mesh to deform like we want it to. Then there are the individual models. These models are grouped into different packages according to what type of model they are. For example, this package is the Peasant 01 package, which contains clothes that a peasant would wear. Next we have the controller scripts, the body type controller and the face controller. And what these do is control the local rotation, scale, and position of the custom bones that allows us to get the deforms that we're looking for. And finally we have some custom shaders, of which there's several. Most of them share this specific mask texture functionality. The one with the clothes is fairly normal. We have the main diffuse texture, we have the normal map bump texture, and then we have this mask texture. And what the mask texture allows us to do is designate different sections of the actual texture to have different colors. For example, on this texture, the red is color, green is color 2, and blue is color 3. So when we change color, we change the sleeves as is dictated by the UV map here. When we change color 2, that's like the cuffs, and then color 3 is in this case the jerkin. And you could set up multiple different kinds of masks to create different patterns in color on each one of your models. We also have the custom head shader, and what this allows us to do is change out the textures for the face. For instance, the eyeballs, we can have different kinds of eyes. We can change out the eyebrows, change the eyebrow color, things of that nature. Also lips, change the lip color, and we can have different lip styles for different types of makeup or that sort of thing. We can also change the eye color, and this is using the mask texture and also the whole head color. There are also the cutout shader for the hair and several others. Now let's take a look at the actual scripts. For example, the body type controller. When we put this on here, we've got all these variables that drop down, and on each one of these we have a size variable, and when we adjust that, it interpolates the values of the bones here, the local rotation, position, and scale, and so we can just move these in and out. And these values, the minimum and maximum values, are hard-coded into the actual script. So you can go in and change that if you just so desire. So here we can see base minimum value and then the maximum value. You can come in and play with all these if you desire. Things can get kind of wonky though, so be careful with it. Then we've got these other values that don't have drop downs. These generally just affect the size of something, so the local scale. The hips controls the local position of the hips to make them wider. And that's where all the body type magic happens. Then we've got the face controller. So when we take this, and we've got our face controller. We've got all these different values we can play with that adjust all the different things of your face. And you can use that to create vastly different looking characters. And finally, as far as the scripts for One Character has, is the body controller GUI. And all that does is give you access to all of these variables while in the web player. So it's not exactly pretty, but it lets you see what is possible with One Character from the web player. I would anticipate that if you were using this in a game, you would not want to use Unity's default GUI as I have. I'd expect you'd probably want to use a better solution like NGUI, EasyGUI, something to that effect, to create something that's much prettier and much more tailored to your specific game. Okay, so now let's say that we have our character just how we want it. We could go through and delete all these objects that are turned off. We could give this a more specific name, and then we could just drop it out here as a prefab. Then if we wanted to create another character, we could just grab our whole peasant package, drop it out here, and we can go through and select the things that we want. However, if we make changes to any of the materials, we're going to run into some issues as things will share the same material. So if we change this, then both of them are sharing the same material. So we will have to go through and create new materials or duplicate them for all of our different characters. That is, unless we are using Model Assistant. So let's take a look at Model Assistant. I'm going to get rid of this and bring that out here. And I've already gone through and set up everything that's required to get Model Assistant to work with this package. With Model Assistant, you can also mix and match different packages. And if you want to know more about how to set everything up, there is a link to the Model Assistant video in the video description. So from here, in order to get this to work, we just need to take the MAO object, or MA object, Model Assistant object, and drop it onto this. And it will ask us what type of mesh renderer we have, and in this case it's a skinned mesh renderer. And Model Assistant will automatically go through and build this list of slots based on the folders that are in here, and then it will automatically populate what you can equip into these slots based on what is actually in each folder. If we drop this down on each of these, we have the default and the equipped object. So what Model Assistant will do is when you change any of these, it will look in the equipped slot, and if there is nothing there, then it'll move on to the default slot. And this will all stay here until we go through and actually start assigning things. So there is our left arm, and I'll go through and equip nude as a default on everything, and then I have equipped the dress and the torso here. And you can see this dress takes up multiple slots, both arms, both legs, pelvis, torso, and that is in here. Again, these slots are automatically populated by what folders are in here. And so you can go through and select which slots each object takes up. Okay, so now back to our previous problem of managing materials. If we go here and swap this out, let's just change the hair color. We'll change the dress color. And now when we look at these, our hair, we see it's red. In our dress, we've got our colors of red and blue. We can see that those are different than our other hair colors. Model Assistant creates an instance of those materials. So that way we don't have to go and duplicate these all out and fill up our project view with materials that we don't need. And so that way if you want to have another one, Control D, and then if we change the materials of this one, it's a duplicate, so they're the same. But if we go back to our components and say equip dress 2, it should create, which is now different. There we go. So just duplicating the characters and then re-equipping the dress will create new instances of all the materials. So now we can have as many characters as we want that all look completely different, that use the same materials, the same models, and all we had to do is play with some variables. And if you really want to save one of these out as a prefab, I have included this little button here. So let's say we take Sharon, which is the short one, and we want to save that as a prefab. We just type in what folder. So let's say my character, and we will give it a name of Sharon. And we will save the prefab out, and now we can come out to my characters, come out to Sharon, and it will build out all the meshes and duplicate the materials for us, so that way we can have this out as a prefab and just drag and drop it in. So if you want to have a main character that goes across multiple scenes, you don't want to have to set it up every time. You can save the character out as a prefab. So that concludes the video accompanying the web player demo. I hope you have fun with it, and I hope you find use for it. Thanks very much.